Good evening. Welcome to the 4th episode of Booking Now. I'm your humble host, Q, and I want to thank you all for joining us again this evening on this continued journey of empathy, understanding, and growth. Today we have a wonderful episode. It's our first episode with 2 featured guests. Our first guest today is Miss Candy Miles Crocker. She is one of the elite real estate agents in the nation. She has been named one of the top 25 real estate coaches in the United States. She has been working in this industry for about 17 years, teaching others, working the markets. She's a graduate of the University of Southern California, combining that experience with radio, advertising, and just entrepreneurship. And I want to thank you for joining us today and for our 4th episode of Booking Now Live.
Thank you so much for having me, Clinton.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've been waiting to talk to you because I know there's a lot of people out there who want to test the real estate market. A lot of people, thinking about getting their licenses. But I really want to start with you and your background and how you, came into all of this.
Okay. Well, I attended the University of Southern California. As you know, I'm a native Californian. Okay. And born and raised there, and being in LA, it's just a fun atmosphere. So graduation, got a job, needed more of a challenge.
Okay. Where were you working?
I was working at Gray Advertising in Los Angeles for 3 years. And then I decided I needed more of a challenge, quit my job. Wow. And had one friend who lived in Washington, D.C., and I thought, I could live there.
You thought I could fly across the country?
Nope. Packed up my car.
I could drive across the country.
Drive across the country. Yeah. Came here with no job and decided I could make it. And then after 2 months of thinking I was on vacation, I actually looked for a job. And then I found a job in advertising, and then I went into radio sales, which is 100% commission.
Absolutely.
And so from there, I just needed a change and needed to spend more time with my children because I was national sales manager, which meant so I did a lot of traveling.
You were good at the job, though.
I'd like to say I was good at the job. I enjoyed the job. I have to say, I've never had a job I didn't love, and that's a rarity.
Yeah,
and so I didn't want to travel so much with my kids growing up and everything. I wanted to spend time with them. And my husband said, why don't you try real estate? I did zero research. Yeah. Not the best move. But one thing I did do, I knew I had to save money because I knew that the first 6 months were going to be tight. So I made sure I had savings to cover all of our expenses for at least 6 months. And sure enough, I was correct. Yeah. It took me about 4 months just to get a client.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was that transition from, the sales where you're a commission, you're doing everything, you have all these clients, to I'm going to start this new venture where I have to go get a license, have to go find my clients, I got to find the product that's going to be right for the clients. Right. What was that like?
It was actually much easier than you think for me because in radio sales, I'm selling air. Yeah. And so my feeling was I can sell something tangible. This is going to be a piece of cake. Right. But what I didn't prepare for was how much emotion was involved in home buying and how much liability. Yeah. And so over the years, I came to understand that real estate agents don't really facilitate buying and selling. More or less, we help people move forward. Right. And whatever that means, it's a lot of times divorce, downsizing, additions to families, big life changes. We get to be involved in that. Yeah. And so what I love about it is in radio, you met radio people. Right. In real estate, you meet everybody. And there's just a diverse group of people and occupations. It's just so interesting every single day. And no transaction is the same. Right. And I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah. What was that first client, that first house? Do you still remember that?
Oh my gosh, I still talk to her.
Yeah? Really?
I met her at a DC bond information session. And she was sitting there, and you have to be really outgoing to be an agent. So I turned to her and I said, are you working with an agent? And she says, no. I said, well, I'm an agent. Can you work with me? And she said, sure. And she wanted something on Capitol Hill. and we couldn't find what she wanted on Capitol Hill. And I said, what about Brookland? Because they have similar homes, but more space. And that's where she ended up buying.
Yeah.
And so she's been there for 17, almost 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
we're still in talks.
That is incredible.
Oh my gosh. She was my first, and it's interesting because when you first become an agent, you have this list of friends who you can talk to and help. Your friends do not use you.
Yeah, because
your friends
they're
will not work with you. They don't know how much. They don't want you to know how much money they make, how much money they don't make, how their credit is. They don't want you to know anything. So they're like,
Yeah. Was that discouraging to start?
No.
No?
Well, it's hard to discourage me. So I did have one friend, and she allowed me to help her sell her condo and help her buy another home. And that year I had 14 transactions, which is unheard of. Most new agents have one transaction their first year.
So was that the moment when you were like, I'm pretty good at this too?
I knew I was pretty good at it, but it wasn't like radio, because radio, it's the hustle, the drive. It's a lot of money. In real estate, just because someone says I'm in the $1 Million Club, that just means you're below minimum wage. And that means nothing.
Yeah.
And so because you get a commission, and then you split that commission with your broker, and then you have to pay your own taxes, your own health insurance, your own retirement fund, everything. So that commission dwindles faster than you can blink an eye.
Is that something you learned quickly?
Very quickly. Very, very quickly. A lot of agents get into trouble just because they don't pay their own taxes. They don't pay their quarterly taxes.
Right.
You have to pay your taxes.
Do you think that's
you have to be disciplined.
In response to just their ignorance about the process, or are they deliberately?
Well, a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
And what happens is, because it takes so long for you to get a commission sometimes, that you might be borrowing money, you might be taking out loans,
and you get kind of tied
and now
up,
you have to pay people back. When that commission comes in, you can't split it with Uncle Sam. But that's the first thing you should do, is just have a separate account that's not ATM accessible, where you put your tax money in.
Smart,
That's
very
the,
smart.
That's the first tip I give. Just pay your taxes.
Now, giving tips is not something that's foreign to you.
No, I love
You
tips.
are the founder of Real Life Real Estate Training. And you've written this book, The Reality of Real Estate.
Yes.
The Essentials to Planning, Managing, and Growing Your Real Estate Business.
Yes.
So, you've been out here, giving advice to other experienced and new real estate agents.
Correct.
What inspired you to start teaching?
My manager actually inspired me, because, like I said, every transaction is different, so you have to constantly stay on your game and learn things. So my first 5 years, I was in training. I wouldn't miss a training. It was weekly training. I would not miss that training. And then one day she asked me...
Were you alone in those?
I was the most consistent, I would think,
Okay.
because I just needed to learn, because as a new agent, you never think you know enough. And
Right.
so after 5 years, she says, well, I think you should run the training now. And I was terrified. I'm like, I don't know as much as you do, because she had been in the business 25 years.
Right.
And here I am 5 years, I don't know
it's
enough.
a fifth of that.
Right. And so she believed in me. And so I just took the training and took it on from there. And now I have my own online training program where I train and coach agents across the country. And I absolutely love seeing their aha moments and their success.
Yeah.
It is so joyous for me just to see them succeed.
How are the trainings delivered?
Well, my training is delivered via Teachable, which is an online company that offers training, and it's it's like a video. You hear my voice. I walk you through every step of the way, and I have like 7 essential courses that talks about listings, prospecting, marketing, all of the essentials that you're going to need to run your business.
Right.
You hear me. They're about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours in length.
Okay.
And you can, the
Each
beauty
course
is,
or
each
each
course?
course? Okay.
Each course. And the beauty is, no one has to know you don't know a certain topic. And secondly, you have a lifetime access to it.
That's wonderful.
And you can look at it whenever you want.
We'll always
and
refer
you can
back.
Always refresh up.
Yeah.
If it's midnight and you have some time and you look at, you can just download it and just keep it watching. And it's so much fun.
That's incredible.
Fun. Yeah, I love it. And then I do in-person training at my office.
Okay.
Every Mondays.
In this area here in
area,
DC?
In DC, yeah. And so I get to, do one-on-ones with people. And I call it group therapy, really, because selling real estate is very isolating. and you think that you're the only person going through something.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
When we're in a group setting, I call it I call it Vegas. You know, what happens here stays here, and it allows people the space just to be honest.
Yeah.
And let me know what their challenges are, and then I try to help them through their challenges. And you know, we've had many a person break down and cry, and you know, it's just like, I can't do it. I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But you just need the tools, and know that everybody goes through this.
Yeah.
You know, people don't like showing the hard stuff.
Exactly.
And so selling real estate is
it's
not
easy.
as easy as it looks. The good agents make it look easy, but it's not easy.
And with this, you know, the DC market, you know, this is such a huge market. It's growing each and every day.
Yeah.
What is something you would tell to someone that says, "Oh, open market, big market. I think I'll give it a swing."
Well, give it a swing, but do your homework first.
Yeah.
Be realistic. Like I said, the reality of real estate is it's not easy. It's going to take you 4 to 6 months before you get your first clients.
4 to 6 months?
4 to 6 months. Yes, 4 to 6 months.
Wow. Is that standard?
That's standard.
Okay.
Yeah. If you get one in 6 months, you're doing well.
Oh, wow.
You are doing well. And that's just getting the client. That's not going to settlement, getting money. That's just saying, hey, Quentin, you're going to work with me? Great. I'm so happy.
Right.
And then it takes 2 months for you to get a house. So that's 8 months. So that's why most new real estate agents only sell one house like their first year. So you have to be realistic in your expectations, because the reality television shows make it look so fun and glamorous. And you look at 3 houses and you write an offer and you're like, hey, we're going to go to settlement.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that because, I watch HGTV with my mom, and one of our favorite shows is Love It or List It.
Right.
You know, where they're going around, and that guy David is just, oh, here's one, shows you 3 houses in a half hour.
Right. Yeah.
So it's nothing like that.
Nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing. I wish it were, because we'd all be super successful. But what it is it's a process. It's not an event. So we first meet with you to make sure that you and I are on the same page. And I tell you what the expectations are, what I expect from you, what you can expect from me, and what you can expect from the process.
Right.
And that's where a lot of agents fall down. They don't tell you what to expect. So your expectations as a buyer or seller are up here, and I'm delivering this thinking I'm doing well, and there's a disconnect, and so you're not happy. And so I try to minimize that disconnect by giving all the good, the bad, the ugly up front. And then you know what to expect, and then you're not disappointed. Yeah.
Do you find that bringing that balance, or that having that understanding, affords you more flexibility?
It affords. Well, I'm honest. I can't even help myself. I just the truth just comes out. And so what
it's
it does,
easiest way for things.
It's just because my memory is not great like that. If I can't remember what I told you, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth.
Exactly.
But it's easier for me to tell you what to expect, and that way, when it happens, I can say, Quentin, we talked about this. Right. Now, you may not remember it, but then all of a sudden, because people don't like saying I don't remember, but I like to give everything up front, and it's just so much easier then, because who wants to have surprises on what may be the largest purchase or sell
that you
of your
ever
life?
Right.
You know, no one wants to say, "Oh, my bad. You really got to bring $20,000 instead of $5,000."
Right, especially when you're calling it your home.
For you in your home, it's like you don't want that bad taste in your mouth at the end of the transaction.
Right.
It's just not good for me or you, because most of my business now is referral.
Okay.
So if at that last second you have a bad experience, are you going to refer me? No, because the last thing you thought about was, Andy didn't tell me this. And it cost me money. And that's what a lot of new agents don't understand either, is that we have a lot of liability attached to what we do.
There's a person on the other side,
it's
family.
It's your money. I mean, you have to do an earnest money deposit of thousands of dollars. And if I don't do something correctly, you could lose that.
Right.
That's not cool.
And it's not fair.
It's not fair, but we have errors and omissions insurance, but who wants that feeling?
Right.
Of, I'm responsible for you losing your $20,000. That's not good.
Yeah.
So
a
lot of liability.
Having that understanding and knowing how the process works, are the 3 things I just heard that a lot of new real estate agents struggle with in the beginning. Is there anything else in particular you would?
Just motivation. Just keeping yourself positive during it, because it's one of those occupations where you've always heard being a real estate agent is one of the cheapest ways for you to be an entrepreneur. And while that may be true, when you're forking over thousands of dollars. It costs about $3,000 to do everything that you need
Right.
to do, from your pre-licensing class to affiliating with a broker. It doesn't feel good when you have no income.
Right.
You know, you're paying money out,
and
but
not
nothing
need to see
coming
that
in.
ROI.
And you're
right.
continuing with, when you're a new agent, you have to keep marketing. You have to market and get your name out.
Absolutely.
You're paying money, and no money's coming in. And you could have the most patient, significant other in the world. But after a while, they're going to say, so this real estate thing, you think it's ever going to start paying off?
Right.
So you have to, I've written notes to spouses to say thank you for your support.
Yeah.
'Cause when I was a manager, I recruited a lot of new agents, and I had to thank the spouses because I need their patience
Right.
to allow
through this
them
process.
to establish their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So we wear a lot of hats as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You're a therapist. You do a lot of hand holding.
Do you find it? How do I want to ask this? You're going to be an entrepreneur as a real estate agent,
Yes.
right? So do you find it would be easier for a new agent to join a firm or to branch out on their own?
Well, you need to join, when you're a new agent, you need to join a brokerage that has training, ongoing training, because your pre-licensing class teaches you about the legalities of real estate. And that's why I designed my online training program, because I teach you how to be an agent. I teach you how to prospect. I teach you what to say when you're
Right.
talking to a seller or a buyer. They don't teach you that in pre-licensing
Right.
class.
So it's more just the legal
It's the
side of
legalese,
things.
you're never gonna, in this area, you very rarely, unless you work Annapolis or something, you're not gonna talk about water rights. So you hear 95% of what you learn in pre-licensing you're not gonna use in your
Really?
day-to-day transaction. So you need to know, how do I get business? How do I follow up on that business? What happens when I get a ratified contract? What happens at a home inspection? What happens at
Wow.
settlement? You
Yeah,
know?
those are all
Yeah, you don't know.
applicable factors. Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know
you don't
what
know,
you don't know.
and that's not something you want to tell your client. I don't know.
No, and it's a lot of it's on the job training, but you don't want to practice,
Right.
on a $500,000 house. That's not a good practice ground. That's why you need to affiliate with a brokerage that has a lot of training, and they have to attend the training. One thing a lot of agents do, and talk about running your own business.
Yeah.
Well, they come from corporate America usually, or some other structured job,
Right.
where someone told you when to come to work, when you go to lunch,
Right.
when you go home. In real estate,
It's all on you.
it's all on you.
Yeah.
So people get a little lax.
Comfortable.
And I'll work at my home office, so I'll start at 11 a.m. and it's a job.
You got to get up.
It's a job. You got to get up, get dressed, get into the office, because trust me, nobody's calling you at home looking to buy or sell a house. It's just not happening.
Right.
So they're going to call the office, and if you're in the office, you get that call.
Right.
But no one's going to say, oh, let me put that on hold and leave a message for Quentin to call in. And
do all
no,
that.
the
Yeah.
consumer wants an answer right then and there.
Exactly.
And whoever's there gets that lead. And so you have to put yourself in a position to get those leads. And that's what I did when I was new. 12 of my 14 transactions were from strangers,
Wow.
from open houses and
Yeah.
floor call. That's it. And I had that one friend who let me do 2 transactions. That was it.
Wow.
So you have to rely on the kindness of strangers.
Right.
And they're not knocking on your door.
And in all of that hustle and having to find your clients, work with them through their own processes, then you grow in it and you started training. What inspired you to be an author as well?
Well, I do a lot of, with my training, I do a lot of blogging. My mother always said I'd be a teacher, and I always said, I'm not going to be a teacher, but I really am a teacher.
You
in
are
my
a
heart.
teacher. Yeah.
You might see this. So I would blog, and then I just said, you know what, I could turn this into a book.
Yeah.
And in January, I said, I'm going to do my book. And I started reading about how to write a book. And I just started doing the work. And like a lot of things that I do, I allot myself 30 minutes a day to write.
Okay.
And
just to write or
just to
write
write.
in context?
just to write.
Just to write.
Whatever I'm working on, whatever project I'm working on, I say 30 minutes a day. And I've been doing that for years. And why I say 30 minutes a day is because if we say much more than that, everyone's going to say, I don't have time. If I say I'm going to write an hour a day, oh, I don't have time. But all of us has 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
And I tell you, every time that 30 minutes turns into an hour, hour and a half, whatever, it's just the getting started part that we have an issue with. So whatever task or project I have, it's always 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
30 minutes a day, Monday through Sunday, 30 minutes a day.
Do you have other routines that you practice like that?
Well, yeah. I have to be like at my desk by 9 o'clock in the morning because that I have to start my day. Mm-hmm. I don't like phone calls before 10 a.m. Because that's kind of like my...
Where you're trying to figure out...
I'm just trying to get all the paperwork done that comes with the job and getting things organized for the day. And then at 10 o'clock, I like to make contact with people. Like I'll answer emails and that kind of thing between 9 and 10, but I don't really like face-to-face or talks in the morning. I don't like that. And then I don't take calls after 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night.
Really?
Yeah. Because after that point, unless we're in negotiation or something's critical is going on,
they're not.
And let me just say, there are painfully few real estate emergencies. So if anyone calls you after 7, they're just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, I was thinking. Like, yeah, think by yourself. So, but I tell my clients, you know, my phone goes off in those meetings I tell you about. My phone goes off between 6:30 and 7. So if you call me then, you'll more than likely get my voicemail.
Right.
And then I don't check email before I get to the office. Because I like to drive to the office in ignorance. And it's just kind of wonderful, wonderful day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are my routines. I kind of set those boundaries because it helps me just be calm.
Yeah.
And I don't check email before I go to bed because there's nothing I can do about it at night. So why am I going to worry about it throughout the night and have a restless sleep?
When you can get your restful sleep, wake up, get
refresh,
there at 9.
Get there at 9, I'm like, what happened while I slept? Right? Yeah. Because literally, when you think about it, there's nothing you can do at 11 o'clock at night to change the situation.
Right.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
So I learned that from radio because we know you have to get your orders in, you get your traffic, you know, the other ones who place the commercials. If they leave at 5 o'clock, guess what?
They're gone.
There are no more commercials going in that day. So you may as well leave. So that's how I learned to set boundaries.
Yeah.
And it works.
And, you know, as far as expanding, author, real estate agent.
Yeah.
But you're also doing the trainings, but you also offer those trainings on YouTube.
Right.
So what inspired those?
So I don't know what inspired that. I just look at things and it's like, oh, what can I do next? What can I do next? I always ask God, what next? What next?
So that entrepreneurial mindset.
Always. It's like a serial entrepreneur. And how can I enhance people's learning? Because everybody learns differently. So how can I reach them? And the Got a Minutes, I do them on Mondays typically, Got a Minute Monday. Because I have an open door policy in my office. So if you attend my trainings on Mondays, you can come in at any time you're in the office and interrupt me and ask me a question. And what typically happens is someone comes in the doorway and they say, you got a minute. And that's where the Got a Minute came from.
Wow.
So in the minute time, the YouTube videos are a minute, I give a quick tip on what you should be doing to either plan, manage, or grow your business.
From the title of the book. I think we have a clip from one of these just a minute.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh,
so why don't we take a look at one of these?
Okay. When meeting with your sellers, they'll often ask you, do I have to disclose that? Something happened to the house. Do I have to disclose that? And your answer, 9 times out of 10, will be yes, you have to disclose it. So think about it from a buyer's perspective. A buyer wants to know what they're getting. Wouldn't you want to know what you're getting? So a buyer wants to know what they're getting. And their offer is going to reflect the condition of the house. So the more they know up front, the more less likely they'll be to ask for something on the back end. So during the home inspection, for instance, if they find something that the seller probably knew about, then the buyer is going to want the seller to repair that. So it's better for the seller just to go ahead and disclose it up front. So the buyer can make their offer based on all of the information. Because no one likes surprises, especially when it comes to their hard-earned money. And when it comes to buying a house, the buyer's anxiety level is already super, super high. And sometimes they're questioning whether or not they pay too much for the house or if this is the right house for them. And then when they find out that the seller may have knew about an issue and didn't disclose it, then they start thinking, what else isn't the seller telling me? And they start questioning a lot more, and it just makes for a much more difficult transaction when it really doesn't have to be that way. So if you're going on a listing appointment and the seller asks you, I had a basement flood 3 years ago, but we got it fixed, we got a sump pump and a French drain and all of that good stuff, then just have them disclose it. Let the buyer know that yes, there was a flood 3 years ago, but it's been repaired. And if the seller has the receipts for that repair work, all the better. But it's just better to disclose, and that way there are no surprises on the back end. So when a seller asks you, do I have to disclose that? Say yes. Have a great day and be prosperous.
So disclosure.
Disclose. Yeah. Sellers often ask, well, I had water in my basement 10 years ago, but we fixed it. So anytime you have a question about anything going in the house, just disclose it. Because there's nothing worse than the neighbor when you move in say, oh, you're the ones who bought, there's water in that basement, they had issues. And so if it wasn't disclosed, then people have a bad taste in their mouth. If there's any doubt, just disclose it. And that way the buyer knows what they're buying.
Right.
And you can have a clear conscience. So disclose.
More of those tips. Where can I find more of those tips?
Well, you can go to my website, which is www.rlretraining.com. And you can also get my information on my training courses that you can purchase online and read my blogs and do everything. It's one-stop shop. Buy the book. You can do everything on my website.
Perfect.
www.rletraining.com.
Great. And we touched on a lot of different things that a lot of new real estate agents may not be prepared for or privy to coming into the industry, right? So what are some of the things, I guess, on the front end, in preparing for that exam, taking the exams, what are some of the things that they may not be ready for that, without giving away too much, you could offer some advice on?
No, I mean, that's the easy part is taking your exam, your real estate, your state exam, whatever that is. And just know the vocabulary, because once you know the vocabulary, no matter what context they put it in, you'll know the answer. Vocabulary. Do little flashcards like you were in elementary school, high school. Do flashcards, know the vocabulary, and pray.
And pray. And pray.
And you can always retake it. I mean, I know people who've taken it 4 or 5 times.
Right. And that's not uncommon either, is it, right?
No, there's no shame.
So you shouldn't be discouraged.
Do not be discouraged. Just keep at it, and then you'll pass it.
Great.
Don't worry about it.
Great. And remind the people again where they can find your book, your trainings, and sign up for more lessons here.
The book is available now on Amazon, I'm happy to say. And the training is available at www.rlretraining.com.
It's Candy Miles Crocker, the author of The Reality of Real Estate, an essential guide to planning, managing, and growing your real estate business. I want to thank you for joining us today. This was quite a pleasure. I learned so much.
Thank you.
And for the rest of you all, if you would like to be a guest on the show, I implore you to join us. I would love to meet you. I'd love to talk to you. You can join us at our website, www.bookitnowtv.com. We're preparing for our next guest here, who is also an entrepreneur in her own right. Really working with folks all around the DC area, helping them face their fears and grow within themselves. I'm very excited for this interview as well. I'm going to introduce here Miss Cheryl Bailey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us about Fearless Chicks.
Fearless Chicks. Fearless Chicks is a social community, and we focus on facing fears. And we do it through adventures. And we also adventures. And we also have adventures where people want to mark things off their bucket list or try new experiences.
So what are these different bucket list items or experiences you guys are doing?
Well, we start off with a Face Your Fear series every year. And so we'll do like snow tubing, indoor rock climbing. As we get into the warmer weather, we'll do some kayaking.
Wow.
Yeah, no. This year we did parasailing.
So really getting out in nature.
Yeah. And we'll mix it in with some hiking. Mm-hmm. This year I did my first backpacking trip. I've never been backpacking before.
Where'd you go?
We went to Virginia. Yeah, it was a great experience. I encourage everyone to try that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been in existence?
We've been in existence for a while, but since 2017, we've really been going hard. So every weekend, we have been doing some type of adventure. Yeah.
Every weekend?
Every weekend.
So what did you do most recently?
Most recently, I went to Kentucky, and I did a road trip to Kentucky. Did the Natural Bridge, whitewater rafting over the summer. You name it, we've probably done it. So it's been a great experience. So
how did this start off for you?
It started off
just going on adventures. Like most people, you're saying face your fears, but that's easier said than done, right? So how did
it started off with an actual adventure.
Really?
Yeah, it did. So I was going to do this adventurous August where you do a whole bunch of different adventures in the month of August. And so we were going to do zip lining with, it was going to be my son and a couple of friends from high school.
Okay.
And so we get to the adventure, and I'm all set, ready to go to do the adventure.
What adventure is it?
Zip lining.
Zip lining, okay. Zip lining.
So I'm all set, ready to do the zip lining until it's time to climb to the platform and come off.
Yeah.
Totally different experience from up top there.
Yeah.
I started crying. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it that day. So I came home and I started doing research to figure out how to face my fears.
Right.
And I found out that the best way to face a fear is to actually do it.
Go ahead and face it.
Yeah. So I started looking for a support group for myself, and I wasn't able to find anything. So I started my own group.
Wow. And that says a lot. We were kind of talking a bit before the show and looking it up and saying, okay, what's the best way to face your fears? By facing your fears. And then you go ahead and start a group.
Yes.
Talk about that experience and finding people and...
Well, I'm not sure how I actually, found meetup.com, but that's where we're...
Meetup.com.
Meetup.com is where we house a group. We have... just over 330 members.
Wow.
And
from 2017?
Well, yeah, so about 320 of them came from within the last year.
That's incredible. So there are folks all everywhere.
Everywhere. Maryland, D.C., and Virginia.
Is it Fearless Chicks? Is it only for women?
No.
Okay.
We do not gender exclude. There is an age limit, though. You must be 18 or older at this time. But we don't gender exclude.
And not an age cap either.
No.
Okay, so I can get my granddad out there.
You sure
and we
can.
Okay, great.
My dad's been out there. My aunt, who is 70 years old, she did snow tubing last year.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, we did. So I just know for myself, I have spent years dealing with facing my fears. I have a very bad fear of escalators.
And my biggest fear is bridges.
Yeah,
I don't trust bridges. I do not trust bridges.
Okay. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I had a system where whenever I do an escalator, I always either blend in with the people who are riding the escalator, so then that way I'm protected, or if I'm with family, they know someone in the front and then someone in the back. So, there was one time I went to the mall to get a pair of shoes, and the mall wasn't quite open yet, and I was there by myself, and
you had to do it.
I had to, right? So I'm pacing back and forth trying to figure out, what do I do? And this lady comes up with her and a couple of girlfriends, and she was like, okay, so what are you doing? Are you going to do an escalator or what?
Get out my way.
Right? Yeah. And so I turned to her and I was like, I'm scared to ride the escalator. Will you ride it with me? And she did.
Yeah. That's so nice of her.
All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's basically how it's been, And then after a while, your friends are gonna be like, "Girl, you need to face your fear. Okay, enough is enough. You need to just go ahead and do something about it." So I don't know what actually clicked for me, but after my 40th, that's when I was like, "Okay, I'm doing this."
This is one.
Yeah.
So the 40th is after August.
So so I had my 40th, and then about a year later, I did the adventurous August. Yeah, and so. And doing adventures, it's it's about what's at your level.
Right.
Like once you make that decision, you do it at your level. So don't let
baby
people.
steps are fine.
Yeah, baby steps are fine. You know, starting over is fine. Don't let people tell you should be here when you're really not there. Like really go through the process. And so I know for myself, in May, I was trying to do indoor rock climbing on a cruise ship, and I couldn't do it. I could only make it about halfway through.
Yeah.
And so I decided
Which
after
is
the
a win, even still.
And so it's like, so I came back and I was like, okay, I'm going to be doing indoor rock climbing every month. And so it's like, now I can make it to the top. Yeah. I'm so excited.
So is that the last?
Yeah, so I did that last weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I did it last weekend, and I'm at another level. Like I started at intro, and they have different levels, and so I pushed myself to a higher level last weekend. I didn't make it all the way to the top, but that's fine because I was able to make it to the top on some of the other levels. So yeah.
Still accomplishing goals.
Yeah, still accomplishing goals. And that's what it's all about, stretching yourself, getting outside of your comfort zone and getting to the point where you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And one of the things I tell people all the time, you're going to go through a range of emotions as you're facing your fears.
What are some of those emotions?
For me, I'm not too happy.
Just not happy. Just like that.
You like I don't want to do this. Like I can't believe you got me doing this. Like why am I doing this? So it's like, yes.
So what is that? I guess that for me that speaks more to the community of Fearless Chicks. Yeah, so speak about that.
It's a very supportive community. Very they're gonna encourage you and push you, and come on, you could do this. We're here. And I mean, a lot of my adventures I would not have made it through without the group. Like when I went backpacking over the summer, I carried too much stuff.
Where'd you go?
We went to Virginia. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
So I had carried way too much stuff, and the people that I met on that trip. Okay, so I met this guy. As I was starting out, right? And so he offered to carry my stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
I know. So
chivalry is not dead.
Bobby. It was
shout out to Bobby.
Shout out to Bobby. So it was like, from there, you just, every step of the way, people carried my stuff. It was like, they'll stop you. Do you have enough water? And then they would give you encouraging words. Just put one step in front of the other. And like my group, it was like they would stop every so often because I just couldn't keep up with them. But it was like they would stop and they would be waiting for me. It's like the best feeling in the world. And then at the end, our organizer, Dana, when I saw her, it was like, it was just like, when you accomplish something like that, you go to work on Monday and you're like, I can do this. Like you can't tell me nothing.
Right.
So it's a really great experience when you get to a point where you're facing your fears.
Yeah. So what was that first thing that you accomplished and you were like, oh, this isn't that bad. Like I could have done this years ago.
Parasailing.
Wow.
I was so scared.
See, that I'd be scared to do that.
Yeah, because it's like 400 feet, 600 feet, and I think 800 feet. And I was like, or 1,000 feet or something. But it was like, and so it was like, oh, you can do it. And my group members are like, you can do it. I think you can actually even go higher than 400 feet. I was too scared to go higher than that. So I just did the 400. Yeah. And afterwards, oh, you talking about somebody who was feeling good. I felt like, okay, I'm ready to do skydiving. I'm not ready yet, but I walked away like, okay, I could do skydiving. Yeah. I
don't know. See, heights, like I'm pretty tall, and that's the furthest I like to be off the ground is 6'4". Like after that, like I could jump, but I have control of that. So kudos to you, because I would not have been up there with you.
Yeah, because it is a control thing, a control trust.
Absolutely. I think that's, the root of a lot of fears is people's, I guess, feeling of lack of control or not having control over the situation. Like, I don't like bridges because I don't know who built this. I don't know when. I don't know the codes. I just need to get to the other side. That's my thing.
Yeah, I get it. You know, I was just reading how they have that longest bridge. I believe it's in China that built that longest bridge. Yeah, you probably have a heart attack if you want to cross that. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, so.
China, are you guys only in the States, or do you?
Yeah, we're only in the States, but my goal is to one day, take us as far as we can go. Like, I really want to see the group, I would say more so now, go to a national level, because no matter where you are, there's someone there who wants to face a fear. They can use that support. I also want to be a source of, reference, a source of, information, and offer classes. So I'm not just looking at, okay, we have this community. I really want to see where the community can go.
Yeah. Is there a cost involved?
Yes. There's a cost involved. And typically, I really do try to keep the events as cost effective as possible. So it's mainly the cost of the event and then the applicable service fees. So whatever the service fees is plus the event.
Did you guys go to Cuba?
Yes, we did.
Cuba?
Yes, we did. We're going back. We're going back in April.
Wow.
April 2019. Yes.
Nice.
Cuba, here we come. Yes.
So what did you do while you were there the first time?
The first trip was just a short trip, and we did a tour. We did 2 tours.
Okay.
But this time going back, we will be doing a couple of more tours, a tasting tour, actually experience Cuba.
Right.
And then we're going to be doing a day trip. So it's going to be a more involved trip this time.
That sounds like a blast.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. How can people get involved?
So I would just find us on meetup.com/Fearless Chicks.
Fearless Chicks.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, facing fears and, going on these adventures, what are some of the things that you see people conquering as far as, I guess more internal battles as well? Because that tends to be a part of it.
Yeah, social anxiety. One of the things that I've heard people say is, I guess they start out with a list of a bucket list of things that they want to do, or just kind of looking back over the year of all the things that they accomplished.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I did all these, these things. Or they go to work and their coworkers are like, what did you do this weekend?
Yeah, and then
so there is a lot of that. In addition to that, you have that confidence, not only when it comes to an adventure, but other aspects of your life as well too.
And when you're broadening out or expanding to these different aspects, you're going to try new things.
Yes.
I heard you did some moonshine tasting.
I sure did. And I'm not really a drinker,
I understand
but we put that on our schedule
Was
every
that Kentucky?
year. No, we did it in West Virginia, and it's the Sweet Shine. You go to the Bloomery Distillery, and we do it every year. It's a free tasting, and you get to taste 10 different Sweet Shines.
Wow.
Yes, and
They're all homemade?
Yes, and the base is moonshine, and they put a little spin on it and a little twist on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's a little strong, but like you can mix them. They give you recipes on how to mix it, and I walked away with the hard lemonade, and I was good with that.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
Yeah,
I remember I was on the Amtrak once, and the woman beside me had a jar of moonshine and her Newport cigarettes, and she had half that jar and smoked a cigarette at the stop, and she slept the entire time. So that's,
well, you only get just
the taste. But she had way more than the taste.
Yeah.
So when I think of moonshine, I think of that old woman. I hope she's doing well. What are some of the adventures that you're looking forward to coming up?
Coming up. We'll probably repeat the schedule that we had this year. I do plan to do more traveling in 2019, and then also too, I'm always open to fresh ideas. Like I'll ask the group, like, "Hey, what do you all want to do? Where you want to go?" And there is no limit. Like I really don't put any limit. It's basically what level you feel that you're at. So if you say you're ready for skydiving, I may not be ready. However, I will still post the event because there may be someone else in the group who is interested in skydiving.
And with those varying levels of preparation and, I guess, willingness, how many people would you say are in a group?
It really depends. Hiking, we probably draw the most. So you're going to have anywhere from like, I would say 10 to 12. And then some of our other adventures, it's typically between a 3 and a 5, which is fine because most places, the maximum number you can have is 10. So it fits well.
Yeah, I think that's nice too. You know, you can keep things intimate and you have that memory with these people. Yeah. Like, oh, we did this together. Yeah, so that's really nice too.
And we always repeat. Like, you know, people have varying busy schedules with work and everything, so we repeat. And I don't have a problem doing that at all. It's like, okay, I can't do it on this day. Can you set it up for that day? Because there may be someone else who can do it that day.
Or maybe want to do it again.
Or maybe want to do it again.
How often do you double back on things?
All the time. Like, indoor rock climbing, I've decided to put that on the schedule every month. For hiking, you know, we try to get a couple hikes in and do at least 1 or 2 hikes in the month. If we could get in more, that's great. You know, it just really depends on what fits people's schedules. So, yeah.
Great. And, you know, I'm just really, I guess, really, like, excited about this because it's just, you know, it's not often that you see people coming together and making plans like this and actually going out and doing them. People always have excuses. Oh, I don't have time. I gotta go take whoever to the airport, and I'm just making excuses. And just to see a small group of people expand into a community and to go out and to do these things is really phenomenal. And I commend you all. What are some of the things that, you know, you mentioned that you were gonna start repeating some of the things from last year. What are some of the things you've done before for the people who have just joined?
Okay, so we start off with snow tubing, indoor rock climbing. We've done flying trapeze.
Flying trapeze?
Yes, flying trapeze. That's in DC.
Where are you flying trapezing? is that even a verb? They have classes for that?
Yeah, they have a class for it, yeah.
So how was that experience?
That's the one that I can't get over. That's the experience that's probably like I can't get over it. It's hard for me.
Yeah.
Like indoor rock climbing I can do, flying trapeze, I do it once a year. This year we did it like 2-3 times. This year it was like people just kept going back because they liked it.
2 or 3 more times than me. I can tell you that.
But again, it's at your level because some people do catch and release. Me, I'm just swinging. For me, it's just getting off of the platform.
Yeah.
You know, you're going up about 25 feet, you know, in the air. And yes, there's plenty of netting, you know, it's safety. But it's still like that whole swinging. For me, I don't like that sensation. And so just getting through that whole process. And I've done it 5 times. Like I've done it 5 times before. Over the course of several years.
Do you feel that people have a common fear that they're trying to conquer? Because I'm hearing a lot of things involving heights, which is my biggest fear. So
swimming,
swimming?
Water.
Really?
Yeah. For me, I have 3 major fears that I'm working on. So that's height, water, anything that goes fast. Like I don't do roller coasters, and I barely know how to swim. When water gets to my neck, I panic. So we have a lot of people that don't know how to swim, and so for myself, I don't let that stop me. You know, I did. When we went to Cuba, we also went to Mexico. And so I did snorkeling and while we were in Mexico, went Cozumel.
How was that?
It was great. Like the guy, like I was at one point I did start to panic, but the guy, he walked me around. Like he held on to me the whole time.
What is that process like? Because every time I know nothing of scuba diving. It just looks like people.
Not scuba, I did snorkeling.
Snorkeling, that's what I meant to say. I know nothing of snorkeling. It looks like people just have this thing in their mouth. They just jump in the water and now they're breathing. So what is that?
Yeah, you have your life vest and your the tube. It's kind of like a plastic tube. Get onto it, and so that. That was all you needed, and you know he tells you how to breathe. And for me, it feels kind of awkward and funny.
Yeah.
But what you see under the water is just amazing. Like the fish. Yeah, so if you have a water camera, that's great. You get some great shots.
Have you taken any pictures?
Yeah, I did take some pictures. I have a little pro like GoPro.
GoPro.
But I have the fake me out kind.
Okay, that's fine.
It's
probably a little cheaper too.
Yeah, but the picture is not that great. But I mean, I did get some footage, but it wasn't that great.
But the experience is what's going to live with you.
Yes, the experience is going to live with me forever. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So again, for the people who may have just joined, where can you sign up?
So go to meetup.com and then look for Fearless Chicks.
Fearless Chicks.
Fearless Chicks.
And this has been Cheryl Bailey, the community director for Fearless Chicks. They go out and do adventures every week, really expanding their experiences and conquering fears for Fearless Chicks. I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank Cheryl for joining us as well.
Thank you for
This has
having
been quite an interesting episode for us. We've learned about real estate. We've learned about facing your fears. And we've learned about each other, right? So that's the point of this whole show, empathy, understanding, and love. And I want to thank you all again for joining us. I'm your host, Quentin Yeoman. This has been the 4th episode of Book It Now. If you would like to check out our last 3 episodes with actor Colin Powell, former ambassador of international religious freedom, Dr. Susan Johnson Cook, basketball guru Kevin McNutt, then you can go to our Facebook page, Book It Now, or our website, bookitnow.com. That also has the link to our YouTube page as well. I want to thank you again for joining me, Cheryl. And I also want to thank Miss Candy Miles Crocker for joining us at the first half of this episode. Feel free to check that out as well. I want to tell you I love you, as I do every week. So if no one tells you that they love you today, remember that I do, and I always will. Good night.